Hi, welcome. Thanks, everyone. Today, we're going to be talking through brand safety in the affiliate channel and how it necessarily needs to be an always-on aspect of every successful program. We're going to be touching on several different aspects as we talk about brand safety. I think the first is ad fraud generally and its overall impact on the ad industry generally and our channel specifically. We're going to dig into some view into fraud alerts themselves and the types of things that Partneriz's new fraud manager is finding. And then we're going to spend a whole bunch of time on paid search and the nature of compliance in paid search and the types of things that abusive affiliates can do, as well as build towards a set of very actionable takeaways that all of you can take back and implement in your programs. So stepping back, in today's complex e-commerce landscape, there are an endless opportunities for bad actors. It's certainly true across all of the online marketing channels. And I would say that the problems that exist in banner advertising, display advertising, generally email marketing, are significantly more challenging and worse than those that we manage in the affiliate space. Looking across the partnership channel, for programs that don't have active fraud prevention measures in place, we see around 9% of all partnership transactions have some impact and are affected by fraud, resulting in about 1.5% of potentially fraudulent conversions, creating a fairly massive overall cost to the industry of 1.4 billion. The good news is that all of these particular threats can be managed, and in particular, some of the technology that we've developed at Partnerize and implemented the Fraud Manager helps give increased visibility into the types of threats that are occurring in a program. There's a whole host of different things that the Partnerize Fraud Manager detects today. Each of these components aren't necessarily fraud themselves, but can be indicative of other forms of fraud. Something that we see fairly often in the paid search space around deceiving redirects. There's not necessarily something a priori bad about a redirect that's deceptive. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's fraud, but it often accompanies somebody who's trying to hide some other behavior, whether it be something, a toolbar related injection or a paid search ad or abuse. But a number of these things do get detected in the Partnerized Fraud Manager and give managers a place to start their exploration to figure out whether there's potentially fraudulent activity in the program. Moving into paid search. Now, search was one of the first channels that affiliate marketers really developed. And I think in many ways, the channel itself was led by the affiliate marketers who often brought new techniques and approaches into programs that hadn't necessarily explored paid search yet. Paid search has, I think, been a part of just about every affiliate program since almost since the advent of the channel. And what we've really seen over the years, I think there's a point in time where many affiliates operated effectively as agencies and paid search agencies, where they would manage a brand's paid search campaign, but do so through the affiliate channel, knowing that they were getting compensated purely on performance. Over time, those business models certainly exist and still exist, and there's certainly a number of really great affiliates that can replace a brand's in-house paid search team or augment it to the extent that exists. But over time, we've seen that diminish as a portion of contributing value to the channel. And instead, we've seen affiliates focus on really getting their offers or their visibility, trading on the brand terms. And so these two ads we see here are searches that were initiated by a consumer looking for something related to the brand, whether it's to Toshiba or Citi. And what they're ultimately affiliates are doing is they find that if they can identify search transactions or searches that have high purchase intent, that likely yields to high conversion and allows them to effectively arbitrage the investment there. With that said, Brandberry's been in this industry for a decade plus, and we still see abuse today. And it's not that there aren't tools and techniques to mitigate it or eradicate it, but we've seen that marketers really are still learning about it. And across both our customers and our prospects, I think we typically learn about three things that have prevented people from really implementing safeguards on their paid search channel. The first is lack of budget. So certainly all things can be spend related. The second one is really, I'd say, the biggest one, but they don't necessarily understand the impact of the problem. In many ways, affiliate abuse and paid search isn't necessarily the most visible thing. On one way, it can be visible. You can see the ad, you can see it running, but to know what the unique impact of that ad is against other spend in the channel can be quite difficult and can be quite challenging to truly disambiguate the two together. And then this third piece, it's not uncommon that individual bonus plans create misaligned incentives. So this might take the form of a bonus driven around growth in a channel, or maybe just overall channel performance, without some mechanic to ensure that it's healthy and incremental growth. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but incremental spend is certainly hard things to figure out. So if we look at affiliate non-compliance in search, there's a number of techniques that we've seen people apply. And I think there's really sort of two overall buckets, and we'll talk about the sort of the generic bucket here and then talk about ad hijacks specifically. The first bucket of affiliate non-compliance is effectively an affiliate bidding in places they're not supposed to, but running ads to their site. Those two examples that we saw a few slides earlier with Toshiba and Citi were examples where an affiliate was bidding on a place that they weren't necessarily supposed to. And I don't know the specifics of those relationships and whether they did or did not have agreements in place. But in general, most brands tend to prohibit affiliates from running paid search ads on core brand terms. And a core brand term would just be the brand itself, or sort of Toshiba computers as an example. Sometimes they'll allow bidding on brand plus, so Toshiba coupons perhaps as an example. But most of the activity that is most visible relates to affiliates that are bidding on terms they're not supposed to and running traffic to their end. And the second category, which we'll dig into next, is affiliate ad hijacking. So these are situations where an affiliate bids on a brand term typically, and replaces the brand's own paid search ad if they're running, when the brand may not be running a paid search ad, in which case the brand's ad or the affiliate's ad would sit above the organic results, sometimes diverting traffic that might have gone direct to an organic listing. What the affiliates will do is they'll run an ad that looks, for all intents and purposes, just like the brand's own ad. The display URL will be the brand's display URL. The content of the ad will sometimes be identical to the content that a brand is running. And by running these ads on a brand's brand terms, the affiliate is taking advantage of two characteristics of that particular traffic. The first is the cost of that click tends to be relatively inexpensive. There's not a lot of competition on brand terms often. It depends on industries, so not true for all industries. And then secondly, the visitor that does a search for the brand usually has a high purchase intent. And so there's very high conversion rates coming out the back end. And so this creates a very attractive set of economics for the affiliate, who benefits from low cost ads, high conversion, and that in turn generates a really sort of positive return on investment for them. The challenge here is that most of the time, if that isn't coordinated through the brand itself, that particular activity is very non-incremental. Or to put it a different way, it costs the brand more for a transaction or purchase that they would have likely already received. So what's happening behind these ads, and why can this be difficult to see or identify or track or attribute? So in this first example, where it says the brand's ad, and we have a Nike, and we have a green bar, this is what the Nike's own ad might look like. And when a user clicks on that ad, they're taken directly to Nike through Nike's own set of tracking programs. This is the typical mechanic that most brands will use to run branded advertising. This second example, I would say, represents a low sophistication of an abuser, and I'd say often the types of things that we see that are really mistakes in nature. But in this case, the affiliate purchased the ad and puts their affiliate link directly behind the ad itself. So the user clicks the ad, goes to the affiliate link, and then lands up on Nike.com. So the affiliate gets that commission, but to all of Nike's analytics, or the analytics of their affiliate tracking program, they can see that that visitor came from paid search, and they can recognize that this isn't being driven by an affiliate's own website and own content. And so, to the astute manager, they can identify this abuse and engage with the affiliate to take it down. Of course, because that's relatively easy to identify and it's relatively profitable for an affiliate, affiliates have increased their sophistication over the years. And they've really focused on two types of sophistication. And the first is hiding their ads. So doing things to make it difficult for you, the affiliate manager, or your program, or even us at Brand Verity, to find the ad in the first place. And then the second technique they'll do is to try and hide their affiliate ID. They'll do a number of things to make it difficult for us or you to figure out who it is behind running the ad itself. When affiliates hide their ads, they've done a number of different techniques. They'll do simple things like day parting, run the ads in the evening, geo-targeting, run their ads in geographies where there's not likely to be somebody looking. This is the classic example of someone sitting in the Gap offices, at least pre-pandemic, would not have been able to see an ad if it wasn't displaying in San Francisco. And so an astute affiliate would just run their ads everywhere but San Francisco, as an example. What we're showing here, this redirect chain, represents what we've often seen affiliates do to try and hide who they are. So they'll send a click first to a URL that we call it disposable domains. It's a URL that can't be traced to anyone. It's always going to have an anonymous that isn't indicative of who the affiliate is, and it can be tossed and replaced at will. It doesn't really have anything of value or notable that will allow us to trace it to an affiliate. On that domain, they'll usually run a number of techniques to try and figure out whether they should show the user their ad or not. They might look at the user's IP address. They might look at, again, the geography. They might try and determine whether it's a bot or a sort of a program that's trying to run to detect them. And if the user passes all of those tests, they think it's a legitimate consumer and then it's not someone trying to find out who they are, then they'll send them to a front domain. This front domain is intended to look like a content website. They're often cookie cutter in nature, and when you've done this enough, you can begin to recognize them and recognize that there's not really valuable content being provided there. But to the quick review, it looks like a legitimate content site affiliates domain. And at that point, the user's automatically redirected through an affiliate link through to Nike. And so Nike's analytics and the analytics of the program partner look back and they see a high conversion rate coming from a content site and from a page where they can see their affiliate link. And so they don't have any idea that this user came from Nike from Google in the first place, and think instead that it came from this content site. And so this is one of the set of techniques that an affiliate that has become sophisticated at hijacking will apply to try and keep themselves hidden and to make all of the other data that you can see in their program tie out in a way that kind of makes sense for you. So what's the impact of ad hijacking? We talked a little bit about this before, but it's certainly stopping fraud and safeguarding your brand. So this activity, when it's run, is very rarely incremental. It's very rarely bringing new users, new buyers to a brand's website. And what that really means is that it represents a cost to your program without a return. And so identifying, it's usually, once you've identified an hijack, the affiliates who do this tend to only do this because most brands, when they find it, will remove them from the channel. But it can be, not only can it be sort of costly in terms of it representing a cost center, but it also gives, the brand loses its ability to tell its message. Perhaps it's running an important sale over the weekend, or perhaps has an important message that it wants to share as part of its advertising. That all gets lost when an affiliate is running that and replacing the brand's own ads. The second impact can be channel conflict. So in the case of an ad hijack, we're literally taking paid search conversions and moving them to the affiliate channel at a higher cost. So that can create some conflict within marketing teams, and that obviously isn't the healthiest of things generally. But at the same time, the affiliate who's running ads to their website now finds themselves competing for click costs with the brand's own messaging or the brand's own ad campaigns, driving up the costs for all the parties involved. This is a thing which can happen. It can be managed, but it's also, and I think a lot of brands don't necessarily expect this as they enter the channel. And then the final piece is, again, I mentioned this earlier, but around messaging conflict. When a consumer is searching for a brand, they're usually looking for information about that brand. And most brand owners are very thoughtful with the types of messaging that they present as part of that search. Certainly spend that time on their website, and they certainly spend that time in their ads as well. And an affiliate that's promoting a different type of messaging can create significant conflict. The biggest example is, or the most common example is, sort of high-end brand that doesn't really discount, that finds itself running ads alongside affiliates who are, promising non-existent coupon codes, and so that creates a very real conflict for the brand, and sort of it devalues the messages that it's trying to deliver. So we talked a little bit about ad hijacking. Let's talk a little bit about the things that we can do to identify when it exists. The first, and this is, I think, there's a lot of data available on the network side, and this is certainly what the Partnerized Fraud Manager is looking at, that allows for sort of early indication of what might be happening in place or happening in the program. So spikes in referral traffic. We often see affiliates turn on paid search ads, and then it'll instantly drive a spike, and that can be turned off equally as quickly. It doesn't tend to represent organic growth of a partner or program. Again, by no means is this the only reason that referral traffic can spike, but it's one of the indicators that something's amiss. The second piece is when we see very similar conversion rates for affiliate and branded paid search. So when I'm talking with a customer who thinks something might be happening in their program and are curious about what an affiliate's doing, one of the first things that we'll look at is their conversion rates, and we'll compare it to some of the other campaigns that they're running. Does the conversion rate of the affiliate resemble a branded paid search campaign? Does it resemble a generic paid search campaign? Does it resemble a banner campaign? All of these things can be good indications for the types of activity that an affiliate might be up to. And then the third, and this is often many of Brand Verity's newest customers come to us because someone on the paid search team saw a very quick and sharp drop in the performance of their branded paid search campaigns. So once this happens, there's usually some indication that something else is amiss, and it may well be channel conflict with an affiliate that's running an ad that displaces the affiliate's own ads. I think we talk about, these are sort of symptoms after the fact, and we'll talk about monitoring, which is certainly some of the things that Brand Verity brings to the table. But they're by no means, ideally you're stopping this earlier, so that you're not wondering what happens or what is happening within program with the data that you're looking at. So there's really, I think, several ways of thinking about stopping hijacking. Always, the first is airtight terms and conditions. So you want to make sure that your policies are clear around what promotional activities you allow within your program or not, and make it clear and give examples. I think a lot of times, the terms and conditions aren't necessarily written by they're written by lawyers, not by marketers, and so marketers might interpret things differently. And your job as a affiliate manager is to help the legal team understand the implications of the things that you want in your program and the things that you don't want in your program. So certainly manual audits analysis. regardless of whether the type of abuse that you're looking for is affiliate ad hijacking or affiliate, paid search abuse or other forms of fraud, it's really important that you know your publishers. And so, I can't stress this enough, but build those relationships. Make sure that on every application, there's somebody looking at the affiliate that looks at the website, that tries to figure out how a consumer got to that website, why a consumer would go to that website, and then why they would go to your site from that site. If you go to an affiliate website and you don't see anything of value, you don't see a site that you would ever send your friends to, and yet it's converting, that's probably a good sign that something's amiss. Something that you don't intend to be happening in your program could well be happening. The third piece is certainly automated monitoring. And I'm really excited to talk, a bunch about automated monitoring, but this is what Brand Verity does. This is, sort of the first of our products. And it's a thing that, through our acquisition with PartnerEyes, we've been able to offer for free to everyone. And so we're excited about, this problem of affiliates doing things that they shouldn't, and doing it in a way that allows them to hide themselves. We think should go away and improve the industry generally. And so we'll talk a little more about this in a few more slides, but I think this is one of the things that I'm really excited about, being able to expand the impact that we have on the industry generally. And the final step is enforcement. So, terms and conditions are only useful to the extent that you enforce them and that you enforce them consistently. So usually you'll want to have a process that, you work with your legal team to determine, what happens when you find someone violating your terms, whether it's a paid search violation or whether it's some other form of violation, and then carry through that enforcement, evenly across your affiliate base. So, we talked a lot about infringements and ad hijacking generally. But some of the impacts that we've seen across our customer base. So retail brands, we looked across a large number of Brand Verity customers, and we monitor thousands of brands in paid search. Is that once a brand starts using Brand Verity's paid search monitoring tool, they see a decrease in partner reviews of 77%. So these drops are quick and they're precipitous. They're not necessarily sustained. Monitoring needs to continue to ensure that those gains remain sustained, but we are able to see impacts relatively quickly. We also see, there's certainly the Q4, particularly in retail, but as Q4 rolls around, as buying activity spikes, that absolutely reflects itself in infringements that we see in the data that we track. So whether it's affiliates or even unrelated third parties, they spike their activity when there's more dollars to play, which of course makes a ton of sense. And then lastly, we've made a number of investments in Brand Verity's workflow and UX over the years, and we found that our customers are able to get through the vast majority of their work with 5 minutes a week. So it can be really effective and really efficient to manage the data and manage sort of the things that you're finding in program to drive those numbers down. All right, well, thanks everyone. That's us, Brand Verity. We are free to sign up now. We are free to use and hopefully free from worry. This QR code here will take you to the page that allows for the free sign up. As well, let's keep the conversation going. You can reach out to me and the team at info@brandverity.com. Thank you for spending the time with us today.